Well, traditionally, account planning has been seen as the voice of the consumer, but account planners in agencies do so much more than that. And the most critical one is really mining for information, searching for gold, if you like. If you think about how account planning it sort of turns into a menu of services for agencies, the first one is defining the target audience. And that's not just determining who are the different audiences, but understanding much more, getting underneath and working out what is motivating them, why would they be interested in this product, what are the barriers. And planners can create quite a lot of detail there for understanding much more about the target audience. And that helps them with the second part of the menu, which is brand positioning, determining a really good idea for a brand, which of course will link back to the target audience insights that you determined first time out. Then the next part of the menu is turning that brand positioning into something the agencies can use for communications. So it might not necessarily be writing a creative brief, but it's certainly developing the thinking behind what's the composition on the communications brief, not just for advertising, but for any form of communication to the target audience. That said, if that's the message of what to say to the target audience, the fourth part of the account planning menu, if you like, is how to reach them and doing channel planning. We have a very media agnostic, as we call it, frame of mind in determining what is the best way to touch the consumer and to engage with them and to influence them. And then of course the last thing on the menu of what the planners can do is measurement. Did it all work? And how can the agency show that they're accountable for what they do? So if that's the menu of services that account planners do, in more simple terms, it's a case of finding some good insights, some great insights in what's the mood of the nation, or what's the attitude at that time towards that category. Taking those insights, making connections with the brand situation, and coming up with great ideas that they can then communicate on to the creatives, and to the client, and to the media teams, and so on. So it actually falls down to a very simple thing of insights, make connections with those insights, and create ideas. So if that's what account planners do, generally, it's never been more relevant than it is today. But there's so much in the news, not only about, of course, the financial crisis that we're in, but also you can't open a newspaper without seeing how to handle the credit crunch, what to do about the credit crunch. So there's a lot of pressure on consumers to handle what is coming. And of course, a lot of manufacturers are thinking, well, what are we going to do about that? How is that going to affect us? And as a result, all the agencies of all types of communications are thinking, how's that going to affect us too? And really, when we think about that, the account planners are able to think, what is the chain reaction that's going to happen from the consumer behaviour and what their reaction to the credit crunch, right the way through to what an advertising agency or a communications agency has to deliver. And that chain reaction is quite simple. It's that not only that consumers might slow down their spending, that's the obvious thing, but more importantly, they'll be looking for more value from what they buy. That's why the discounters are doing so well. That's why Tesco is doing the advertising it's doing at the moment. Before, it would just advertise its products and its service. Then it was up again, it was comparing itself to Asda. Now it's comparing itself to Aldi, and it's showing what happens if you substitute a brand with a cheaper alternative. So all of the companies that are offering that kind of value to customers are going to do extremely well. So if the consumers are asking for more value for their money, or the same value but at a lower price, then that's going to squeeze manufacturers' profit margins. And if their profit margins are hurting, and of course the city still demands growth from all of these companies, if they're getting squeezed there, they're going to hunker down and expect so much more from their advertising agencies. So it's a very simple thing. I think a lot of the media agencies will be worrying about media spend being cut. That's only one element of it. The other side of it is that the manufacturers and marketing departments will want more from their agencies. And this expecting more is creating three different challenges for the agencies. The first one is that they'll need to differentiate. So many agencies actually probably don't even realise that They know what their differentiation and their USP is against other agencies in their market, but often it's not that obvious to clients. So the differentiation might not be as apparent as they may think it is. So differentiation is key, and they may need to look a little bit harder about how to differentiate. The second thing they need to do is to protect their margin. If the manufacturer's margins are under pressure, they're going to be asking to either renegotiate their contracts with them, or actually just demanding more for their money. So protecting their margin, adding some value there to justify their margin, justify their retainers, or to just generally protect the price of their services. So protecting margin is the second thing. And the third challenge is actually to create incremental growth from each client rather than have to rely on new business. As we go into a recession, there'll be less pitches, as simple as that. You cannot rely on new business to keep fueling your growth, or at least stabilise your business. So incremental growth is going to be important as well. And the interesting thing is that all of those three different things, actually, the differentiating yourself, protecting your margin and adding value, and looking for incremental growth. And by that we mean, if you're a digital agency, can you offer more than just digital? Can you offer some above-the-line solutions that dovetail with the digital solution? If you're a PR agency, can you look at the development of the brand? If you're an above-the-line agency doing TV, can you reach down and do more collateral materials? So that's the kind of incremental growth that we're talking about. And each of those three things actually require the agencies to be not just what we call a do-it-for-me agency, but be a think-for-me agency. And that means being about your brains and not just about your brawn, about thinking smarter, about seeing the bigger picture, about thinking about the brand rather than just about communications. And that's actually comes full circle all the way back to what an account planner can do. Because what the planners can do for each of those three challenges is they can help differentiate an agency by creating differentiating ideas, maybe even creating a differentiated process, a planning process for that agency that can help you stand out and look a bit different. Planners can help with that margin protection because they can add that value, create more thinking around the brand that can protect the income that you get from that agency by just offering more. And of course it fits in with the incremental growth gains that you want, because if an agency that's used to just doing a certain type of communications is being asked to look at the brand as a whole, that's very much planner territory. So we firmly believe that planning really is the key to protecting an agency and helping an agency grow when tough times get tough. And undoubtedly they are going to get tough. It's interesting that the guy who invented the credit crunch was on Radio 4 last week saying how astonished he was that companies are just not rising to the challenge and actually realising that this is going to happen, they're going to have to step up their game. And whilst if that's true, and also companies are just sitting back and having quite a laissez-faire attitude towards it and not doing it until the recession happens to them, then actually that's an opportunity for the more forward-thinking agencies to actually get ahead of the game and to actually think ahead to how can they add more value to what the clients are wanting from them. And so that's really, in a nutshell, how we feel that account planning is very much a part of the solution to a recessionary and a slowdown in the economy.